Hi, I'm here with Candie Cooper today, and it's all about the wrist. We're making these awesome bracelets. I love these.
Me too, Katie. And the best part is they're from repurposed materials, which is great on the wallet.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love the idea of it on a lot of levels.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start out with a leather belt. Now, Katie, you wanna look for the thinnest leather belts you can find.
Okay.
Not always easy because we're using dies to cut the cuff shape. And the thicker the leather, really hard on the tool. So you gotta be so careful that you don't, sorry Katie, damage your equipment.
Well, you always wanna take care and take all the right precautions.
Right. So I'm just lining up the belt on the cuff die. These come, I'm doing a 7.5 inch length. So let me just stand up here, get everything lined up, and then I'm just gonna give it a little push and away it goes. And Katie, you're gonna be amazed at how crisp this comes out. Okay, except for the very end. Sometimes, depending on how long the piece is, the platform, this is a good tip, you may have to just tweak the little end a little bit because of where your platform was lined up. There we go. So,
all right.
Got your bracelet shape.
So much easier than cutting it yourself.
That's right. So much easier. You get the perfect length and the perfect size. So now let's embellish it with a few things. So we'll get rid of the belts and grab some just plain old cowhide. I've got a little flower shape. Put it back on the platform. Line up your leather. You can see, you just want to put your leather on top of your die.
Okay.
And then your cutting pad on top. Just keep rolling it through.
Is it right side against the die always?
It doesn't have to be, but I think that sometimes when it cuts, it gives it a beveled edge. So that's what you want. And different leathers have different like threadiness or nap on the back or whatever. So just play around with it.
So you can really get a lot of different textures and looks.
And that's what this is all about, is getting those different, contrasting textures for your bracelet. And of course you could wear it just like that and that would be great. So the next thing we're gonna do is pick out some rivets and kind of just start styling up how we want this guy to look. I cut some little fun green flowers for this one. And then you might want to layer in some washers or whatever. It's always fun to add a little bit of texture if you want to do washers.
Yes, the textured washer is a great Candie Cooper signature.
The other slice spread. I mean, it is like so humble and fancy. You know what I mean? Like you can just get them at the hardware store, But just use the round side of a chasing hammer on a steel block to add a little texture. And then put that on top. And then for this one, we're gonna use these, there's two different kinds of rivets that you can find for leather. This one has a screw-in back. So you can slide your pieces on. I messed up, I used a little bit too small washers, so we'll save that for the next side. But go ahead and thread on your leather shapes.
Nice.
Yeah. And this one, you're just gonna put the screw in back on the back side, and you really do need, there's a couple different, you need a screwdriver to tighten up the rivet, which is so convenient, like.
Way easier than hammering.
Yeah, but then there's also these fun decorative rivets, and I forgot to talk about just punching a hole. What I like to do is go ahead and put your flower shape on top of where you want the flower or whatever.
Sure.
And then we need to taper down the hole size a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and lay the flower where you want it.
Okay.
And go ahead and punch through all your layers. Sometimes pieces shift, I know. So this is great because you can just kind of eyeball it. Leather's pretty forgiving from what I've found. So now, these have a different kind of, this is a compression rivet. And so you can go ahead and put your pieces just like you want. If you want to add that rivet, you can add the rivet, or the washer, excuse me. But you got to be careful because those things can slide. So then we're gonna flip it over, put the mushroom cap on your rivet.
Okay.
And then since these are decorative, this is a really hard rubber mat. This is like the other steel block. And then you're just gonna grab your chasing hammer, flat side of your hammer, and set the rivet. And see, I forgot to scoot that into place, but it's okay. You can always slide it in. And
it's
then
organic.
It's candy. So then you can kind of scoot those a little bit before you fully set your rivet. Then, if you look at the finished one, this is thick, right? So we got to come up with a good clasp. So you want to put your leather punch on the largest size and punch your hole for both ends. And of course you would finish riveting or whatever, but I just wanted to show you a couple different options. Go ahead and put your holes in. And then I'm using oval link decorative chain.
Nice.
Well, thanks. I love using this kind of chain because it has, you know, that decorative finish.
They're right here.
Oh, they fell. Thanks, Katie.
You're welcome.
And you're just gonna treat this just like a jump ring. And what's great about this is they're strong, but they're oval, so you can, you know,
add more stuff.
You can add more stuff, and they're not gonna go anywhere. Sometimes jump rings come in skinnier gauges. So then for the other side, you wanna add 2 links. And then I used a 16 gauge wire to whip up a clasp. But you can add fringe and charm. You saw on that one, I added a little tassel.
Yeah, or you could add leather to tie the ends together, or use a toggle clasp, or whatever your favorite clasp is. But I can't wait to see what kind of clasp you're gonna make.
I'm just gonna make an old tried and true, Katie. I got my wire. I'm just gonna whip up a little hook end.
Okay, and this looks like 16 gauge, is that right?
It's totally 16 gauge wire. And then you can, this is a great way to add length to your project too. Making clasps though take practice. Don't overthink it. You can just kind of whip it around here. You know, but if you mess one up, just
what do you mean by
again.
Adding length?
Like making your hook extra long. This one here has a little bit shorter hook length. See how I've got a little bit longer?
Okay.
You know, you can stretch out your length here.
So you said this is a 7.5 inch die.
Right, so you could add an inch just by making a longer hook.
I see.
And then I went ahead and finished it with a wrapped loop. Let's go ahead and work harden the hook by putting the rounded part on your bench block, giving it a couple taps with the flat side of your hammer.
And the reason you're doing that is so that when you fasten your bracelet, it doesn't pull apart.
Bingo. Yeah, that just gives you a little rigidity. And then go ahead and open and close. I should have done this part first. This is making the wrapped loop, I think, is key because it's a bracelet and you don't want the loop
to come open
and lose it. So wrapped loops are a little bit more secure, right?
Right.
So then just slide that guy on. Close your big link of chain disguised as a jump ring.
That looks great.
Yeah, and then you've got that really great little closure. It's secure. It's, you know, it's not going anywhere. And it looks great with your silver and that kind of Western vibe that these bracelets have.
Yeah, and it's totally yours.
Yes, thank
Nobody
you.
else has a clasp just like that.
No.
And we wanted to be sure to mention too the little tip about if you use the holes on your belt,
yes,
then you don't have to use the hole punch.
Yes, that's what I did for this bracelet right here. Those were the holes where you would buckle your belt. So I just filled them in with those giant turquoise rivets.
It looks fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, you set those just exactly like we did the other decorative ones with the heavy-duty rubber mat. And then for the necklace, I had a little scrap of leather, so I cut the bracelet in half and then made a bail.
To make the bail?
So easy.
That is so cute, and I love the way you put it all together.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Candie.
Thank you, Katie. That was fun.
It was really fun. I want to make these now. Let's go make some.
Yeah.